Bitcoin started as a mysterious concept, an internet-based currency with no banks, no physical form, and no central authority. But over the years, it went from being a niche tech curiosity to a global financial phenomenon. And in the process, it minted a brand new class of millionaires. People from all walks of life who saw the opportunity before the rest of the world did. Some were early adopters, some were risk takers, and others were just lucky. Regardless of how they got in, Bitcoin changed their lives forever. Let's dive into how Bitcoin created a new breed of wealth and why it's not just about the money. The early believers, from pennies to millions. When Bitcoin launched in 2009, it was worth basically nothing. In fact, for over a year, it was traded only between hobbyists and cryptography enthusiasts. The first known transaction of Bitcoin for real-world goods was in 2010, when programmer Laszlo Hanyecz paid 10,000 BTC for 2 pizzas. At the time, that was about $41. Today, that same amount of Bitcoin would be worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Early adopters like Laszlo didn't see Bitcoin as a path to riches. They saw it as a technical experiment or an ideological movement. But those who held on to their coins, they saw fortunes grow almost by accident. Some invested only a few $100s in Bitcoin in its early days and walked away with millions just a few years later. This first wave of Bitcoin millionaires came from different backgrounds: tech developers, libertarians, investors, and even college students. What united them wasn't wealth. It was curiosity, timing, and a bit of faith. The crypto boom. Wealth goes mainstream. By 2017, Bitcoin had gone from nerd currency to mainstream buzzword. Headlines everywhere screamed about its meteoric rise from $1,000 to nearly $20,000 in less than a year. Suddenly, people who had bought Bitcoin just a year or two earlier saw 10x or even 100x returns. This was when the second wave of Bitcoin millionaires emerged. Everyday people who got in just early enough. Some were bartenders or Uber drivers who'd invested a few $100s. Others were amateur investors or YouTubers who had been recommending Bitcoin since it was under $1,000. They weren't Wall Street insiders. They didn't need venture capital. They just needed an internet connection and a little courage to hit buy. In some cases, Bitcoin flipped entire financial situations overnight. People paid off student loans, bought homes, or left jobs they hated, all thanks to an early crypto bet. Mining riches, a digital gold rush. Bitcoin isn't just bought and sold, it's also mined. Mining is the process where powerful computers solve complex mathematical puzzles to validate transactions and secure the network. In return, miners earn new Bitcoin. In the early days, people could mine Bitcoin using regular laptops. Some of these early miners struck digital gold. They didn't have to invest money, just electricity and time. When Bitcoin prices soared, those accumulated rewards turned into massive windfalls. Some of the wealthiest Bitcoin holders today are former miners who accumulated thousands of BTC when mining was easy. Over time, mining became more competitive, requiring specialized hardware and cheap electricity. But those who mined early, they became the silent millionaires of crypto. Global access, millionaires without borders. One of Bitcoin's most powerful aspects is its global accessibility. All you need is an internet connection. In developing countries, Bitcoin became more than an investment. It became a lifeline. People living in hyperinflationary economies like Venezuela or countries with strict banking controls use Bitcoin to protect their savings and transact freely. Some early users in these regions were able to turn small holdings into life-changing wealth. In places where becoming a millionaire in the traditional economy was nearly impossible, Bitcoin leveled the playing field. This global reach helped create a new type of wealth class, not one based on geography, inheritance, or pedigree, but one based on access to information and bold decisions. Tech entrepreneurs and the rise of crypto startups. As Bitcoin's popularity surged, so did the ecosystem around it. Entrepreneurs launched crypto exchanges, wallets, payment apps, and more. Some of these startups exploded in value, and their founders became part of the Bitcoin Millionaire Club. Even if they didn't hold a lot of Bitcoin themselves, companies like Coinbase and Binance turned into billion-dollar giants. Early employees at these firms, paid partly in crypto, found themselves holding assets that ballooned in value. Even developers who helped build Bitcoin infrastructure or improve blockchain tools gained financial rewards through rising token prices. Tech founders who once struggled to secure funding suddenly found VCs lining up to invest. Side projects built in basements turned into unicorns within years. Crypto's rise gave a generation of builders their dot-com moment, but on steroids. The meme effect. TikTok millionaires and influencer fortunes. By the 2020s, Bitcoin had fully entered pop culture. Influencers began creating content around crypto. TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter were filled with stories of 20-somethings turning $500 into $50,000. It wasn't always pretty or responsible, but it happened. The meme economy, powered by retail investors and social media hype, created a new breed of Bitcoin millionaires. Some lucked out. Others studied trends and rode the wave. Either way, it proved that you didn't need a finance degree to find success in crypto. You just needed timing, research, and sometimes a bit of virality. The Dogecoin craze showed just how far a joke could go. Crypto influencers became celebrities, drawing massive sponsorship deals. For many, memes weren't just entertainment, they were market signals. It wasn't always glamorous. Not all Bitcoin millionaires lived happily ever after. Some lost access to wallets. Others sold too early or got scammed. The volatility of Bitcoin meant that fortunes could rise or disappear overnight. Then there's the psychological toll. Watching your $10 investment grow to $1 million is exciting. Watching it drop to $400,000 overnight is devastating, even if you're still up big. That emotional roller coaster led some early holders to cash out just to escape the stress. Still, many stayed in. Others diversified into real estate, stocks, or new tech ventures. For many, Bitcoin wasn't just a path to money, it was a path to freedom, financial independence, geographic freedom, and the ability to say no to things they didn't want to do anymore. Regulatory uncertainty also added pressure, with crackdowns wiping out entire platforms. Scams and rug pulls left thousands of retail investors burned. The dark side of crypto reminded everyone. Massive rewards often come with massive risks. Bitcoin's millionaire legacy. Bitcoin didn't just create wealth, it shifted paradigms. It proved that with enough decentralization, transparency, and belief, a new monetary system could thrive. The people it enriched weren't necessarily born into wealth or privilege. Many were outsiders, tech geeks, libertarians, skeptics of traditional finance. Some lived in remote villages, some were teens in their bedrooms. All they needed was the internet and a willingness to explore the unknown. That's the magic of Bitcoin. It opened the doors to wealth without needing permission, no gatekeepers, no minimum investments, just an open network and the nerve to take a risk. It democratized access to opportunity like never before. Bitcoin became a financial passport for those excluded by traditional banks. Its legacy is as cultural as it is financial, sparking debates about freedom, control, and the future of money. Final thoughts. Bitcoin's rise isn't just a tech story, it's a human one. It's about visionaries, risk-takers, and everyday people who bet on something that seemed crazy at the time. It created a new class of millionaires, not through inheritance or institutions, but through innovation, decentralization, and belief in a better financial system. And while the journey hasn't been smooth, it's a reminder of what's possible when the world's financial rails are open to anyone. So whether you missed the early wave or you're just learning now, one thing's for sure, Bitcoin has already changed lives and it's not done yet. Please subscribe more videos.